This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. More than 100 Texas chaplains write letter protesting new law that would make them school counselors. A new state law went into effect last week that will allow school districts to replace counselors with chaplains. The state senator from the Galveston area who authored the bill posted online shortly after it passed back in the spring that it will allow the important role chaplains serve for pastoral care by representing God's presence within the public schools. The law does not require school districts to employ chaplains. Instead, it requires that school boards take a vote before March 1st, 2024, on whether they will adopt a chaplain program to provide support, services, and programs for students. Among the many points of contention that are being raised, there is no requirement in the new law that specifies the qualifications or standards for someone to serve as a chaplain for a school district. There has been an organized and growing opposition to the effort to put chaplains in schools. Recently, over 100 Texas chaplains issued an open letter to all Texas school board members urging them to reject the chaplain program. The letter said that the law would be harmful to public schools and the students and families they serve. Yeah, it will be harmful. Yeah, I mean, first of all, chaplains, if they're going to serve in a public, like hospice or hospital or nursing home or fire department, or so chaplains, when they serve, they have to be able to serve without prejudice, without bias, anyone. So I may be Presbyterian, but I have to be present in a spiritual and open and safe way to every Jew and every Muslim and every Catholic and every Mormon and every agnostic. I mean, anybody who wants those services. And there are humanist chaplains. I mean, there are chaplains who are particularly for humanist, agnostic, atheist communities. And so I have to be able to do that. And sort of the spirit or the tone of the language of this makes me think that's not what they want. No. That's not really what this is. Sort of backdoor evangelism, it sounds like. Also, chaplains, it's a professional. Clergy is a professional. And so there are standards. Chaplains usually have to have a seminary education. That's graduate school. That's not a certificate. They have to have gone to seminary, graduate school, and that includes clinical internships. And so you have to be well prepared to do that particular job. And they can't replace counselors. If a chaplain is also licensed as a therapist, okay, fair enough, but most aren't. And so chaplains aren't counselors. And so how can they replace counselors? In school counselors, they are either licensed therapists or they are they have a teaching credential. They have that license plus a master's degree in school counseling. So the licenses, the graduate training, the experience, the clinical experience, all of that is going to be replaced by who? Yeah. By who? When I was doing casework 1,000 years ago, and sometimes there would be court-ordered counseling for families that had a lot of stress and issue and pain. And someone would always say, well, yeah, we're getting counseling from my pastor. Is your pastor a state licensed therapist? Because otherwise you aren't getting counseling. Yeah. You may be getting prayer, you may be getting encouragement, you may be getting lots of love, but what you ain't getting is therapy. And so this is just a bad plan. It weakens the role, it dismisses really the role of a qualified counselor. And it asks chaplains to do something that they're not meant to do. And if they're not qualified chaplains, you could really get into some messy, if some undereducated, non-licensed, rural, well-meaning, but he or she thinks her job is to evangelize, you can get really, this just has so much potential for ugliness and chaos. I just think it's a super bad idea.
Right. And let's think about the type of chaplain that they're suggesting. You better believe it's going to be Christian.
Yeah.
And then following the specific line. Will there be Jewish chaplains, Muslim chaplains, that kind of thing, which you were just talking about, Darrell? I'm suspecting probably not. All of us have done chaplaincy. We've all done that kind of work. And the training that we had to go through and still have to go through when we're doing that kind of work, just to drop somebody into that role without that kind of experience, without that kind of education. It just, yeah.
Even an experienced pastor might not be a good chaplain.
Oh yeah, there's certain gifts. We all have our gifts. You may be great at preaching a sermon or doing that kind of thing, but you may not be the best chaplain.
Yeah, I don't think this dog's going to hunt. What I think it is going to hunt is get behind what is behind this person's intent.
Yeah.
And I think that it's instilled some type of religious value or setting into a school system that shouldn't be there. I mean, I'm all for the dialogue. I'm all for the conversation. And it's all about what do you want your kids to look for? And what do you want them to do? If this person you want them to go to for something that's happening at home that they may not be able to qualify to discuss or even know how to refer out. I mean, even when I do stuff like, I would refer out to people in a heartbeat because I recognize that is not my skill set. Right. And I know what my limitations are. And I don't think that this is that type of a program that they're looking for. What I am most impressed about in the story, though, is that the chaplains who wrote saying, don't do this.
Yeah.
Because they're professionals.
Yeah, they're professionals. They recognize what goes into this. And you're talking about children who are very impressionable, who are just, they're in a different category altogether. And I can assure you there will be some form of discrimination going on that someone may not want a Jewish chaplain with their Christian child or their evangelical child, or someone may not want a Catholic chaplain with their Protestant child. So what is the intent behind this? It's clearly not anything pastoral in my mind.
And counselor education is even a slightly different animal than a therapeutic counselor.
Yes, it is.
Because they have to be available, of course, to do short-term mental health counseling, but they're also helping you pick classes. They're also testing your IQ, giving standardized tests for the SATs and the GR. I mean, I wouldn't know anything about that. I have 17 degrees, not really 5, but I have a lot of degrees. And I couldn't test you for your IQ or.
That's right.
I don't know anything about that.
That's right. My sister-in-law is actually a school counselor. That's what she does for a living. She has a master's degree in mental health counseling with a specialty in middle schools, actually. And what she does and what I do are two very different things. Two very different things.
And all I'm going to say is Galveston, Texas.
Yeah.
We know historically what has happened and come out of Galveston, Texas.
Yeah.
So, let's look at some of the historical things that has happened there as well.
And you mentioned the intent. He tells you the intent is to provide pastoral care. And nobody's going to school for that.
Yeah.
And to recognize God's presence.
Yeah.
The intent is clear, and I don't see how it's even constitutional.
And there's that.
And that's that. That's that.
We are excited to tell you about our next adventure with our Global Fellowship. In 2024, we'll be going to where the hills are alive as we explore Austria and Alpine Europe for Gay Oktoberfest. Space is extremely limited, so make sure to go to happeningout.travel/sunshine to reserve your space now.
Would you like to join the Queer God Squad on a special winter cruise in 2024? Well, now you can. You will visit Cozumel, Mexico, Grand Cayman, and Ocho Rios, and you can even add an open bar and Wi-Fi. Join us by going to happeningout.travel/sunshine.